Right, good evening to everybody, and thanks for clicking on to the final European outlook of the working week. Another busy weekend, as always, here in the channel coming up. The live stream will be tomorrow evening, so Saturday at 7 p.m. Then there will be the Tropical Outlook released on Sunday evening at around 5 p.m. as usual. So I'll leave a link in the description below for the live tomorrow, and be sure to hit that notify me bell as well, so you get a reminder when I go live. So, CDAS has now updated their temperature anomalies, which is good to see. We're beginning to chip away at that warm anomaly, and I think we're going to go below average as we go through the second half of October. More on that in just a second, but you can see here the warmth clinging on to far south, east of England and north of Scotland. Ireland is average now, edging towards below average. So the mild beginning to the month is now getting chipped away. We've got a cool central portion of Europe warm across Scandinavia, changing that as well. In terms of rainfall anomaly, over the last 10 days, drier than average. It's actually turned out to be quite a dry October so far. That is going to change as we head into the weekend and beyond. This is the precipitation upcoming 7 days according to the GFS ensemble. You can see here wetter than average, and as we continue to play through this loop, you can see here a wet signal showing up. UK, and good news also for France and the Low Countries. Then it turns somewhat drier than average. Now if we look at the CFSV2, now this is looking down over the pole. This is the upcoming 7 days. We've got the west-based Greenland block, if you notice here. So we've got the re-energized jet and zonal flow that is going to bring the areas of low pressure. I've alluded over the past few days in detail at that jet stream becoming much stronger across the Pacific, changing the pattern over North America, and that is now recasting the atmosphere right the way through the northern hemisphere here. But as we start to see that undercutting jet return, we are seeing the high pressure that has been planked over the UK build north and northwestwards here. In fact, we are seeing the high moving east into Europe, but we're also seeing high pressure build. Now, if we look into the 8 to 14 day, which is the 24th through the 31st, of the final 7 days of the month, and you can see here quite the block actually developed. And importantly, we're shutting off the Atlantic and the westerlies here, which means we've got a chance of seeing a decent shot of cold air into next week here once these areas of low pressure over the weekend moves through, and then into week 3, which is the beginning of November. You can see here again quite a positive over the northwest Atlantic and Greenland here, negative over Scandinavia. So the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, is going firmly negative. And yes, you can argue the point, it's still only October. Yeah, we're going to get snow in the hills and maybe a few chilly days, a few chilly nights with this type of setup. But it's what it may be telling us for later down the road. We're seeing that reinvigorated Mann-Julian oscillation now over the Indian Ocean. What influence that may have. I'm also watching for the potential of storminess. Looking at the ECMWF, we'll look at the temperatures in just a second here. This is the overview precip cloud temperature and pressure. And you can see here that area of high pressure now starts to get shoved eastwards. We're seeing the return of low pressure off the Atlantic. So welcome rain, it has to be said, across the bulk of the UK and Ireland. So that frontal system associated with that low sweeps through wet, windy conditions. Then the system kind of swings into the Wales and southern portions of England. A thoroughly wet and windy day to come. If this is true, Monday 20th at 12 UTC, you can see here a thoroughly wet affair, and also with the easterly flow, we may start to see some heavy persistent rain moving into eastern portions of Scotland, for example, as we move through the back half of Sunday. So you can see here, if we skip back just a couple of frames, you can see here this is a 18 UTC on Sunday. You can see a wet situation here. That frontal boundary moves through, then we're going to see this kind of wraparound of moisture. But all the while this is happening, look at this here, Monday 20th, at the end of the day, we're starting to see that high building over Greenland, over the North Atlantic. Yeah, sure, we've got a cool, wet and windy affair across the UK. But if we continue to play through, that then starts to head eastwards. We've got another system developing here, and that system is looking rather vigorous here. This is out to Thursday of next week, so a long way off. Obviously, we're going to see the fluctuations back and forth. But with our MJO phase 1 and 2 and becoming quite amplified in that, with the strengthening of the Pacific Jet, we're seeing systems moving into the west coast of Canada and the United States. We could see an atmospheric river, by the way, develop. Remember what we've seen up in Alaska? That is going to get discussed in tomorrow night's live stream. But this has been a situation that has perhaps been kicked due to that recurving of Ex-Typhoon Halong into Alaska. That set the wheels in motion for change over the Northern Hemisphere. But with that, the strengthening of phase 1 and 2 into 3 of the MJO, they're stormy phases for Western Europe. And despite the fact that we've got the colder air on the horizon, we may need to watch out for some of these lows rapidly deepening and presenting a stormy spell for the UK as well as Ireland. Now watch this here. This is all the way out to the end of next week. Again, we take this with a pinch of salt, but you're seeing that area of low pressure move eastwards, and it opens the door to some notably cold air. If we put on the 850s, you can see that coming down the chute from the north. Now let's have a quick look at the GFS model here and see what it's suggesting. We'll look at well, there you go. So we've got the -5 Celsius isotherm driving down into at least the northern half of the UK, if not all of the UK. Put on the overview chart here, and you can see here that we've got the same setup: strong ridge of high pressure over the Atlantic. We've got the strong low pressure system exiting to the east. If we play it back to the here now, there's that area of high pressure scooting off into Europe. Area of low pressure moving in, very similar to the GFS model, or the ECMWF, should I say. Then we've got this next feature, and you notice here, these areas of low pressure kind of spiral around that upper trough. And it'll be interesting to see, look, 964, 966. So we've got this kind of washing machine effect of wind and rain. Thoroughly miserable conditions, autumn-like, it has to be said. And then that area of low pressure, like the ECM, moves to the east. High builds northwards towards Greenland. We've got that northerly wind here. Not necessarily suggesting anything with regards to snow just yet, but nevertheless, we will keep an eye on this and more than that in tomorrow's Global Weather Report live. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies then. I'll go back to the here and now. This is obviously off the GFS ensemble. So the upcoming 7 days is generally, upcoming 5 days should I say, is generally warmer than average. And as we play through, you can see here the cold look to the runs here. The CFSV2 is warmer, but it tends to be biased warmer. If we put on the CFSV2 weeklies, you can see here that it is showing warmer than average. But if we go to the 500s again, you can see the same situation evolving here. So we've got that ridge over Iberia, France into Central Europe here, trough into the UK and Ireland here, west to southwesterly flow in the means. Week 2, you can see here that trough then returns up towards Northern Europe here, including the UK and Ireland. Into week 3, you've got that block to the west and northwest, trough in between. I would support a chillier look than what that is suggesting. So that is it for today. Like I said, lots of content coming up this weekend, so stay tuned. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow with the live stream. Bye for now.